What's going on, guys? So, the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're here talking about the teams that were eliminated from the Stanley Cup Playoffs this year so far. So, Toronto. This is a really weird team for me to evaluate because I understand the emotion of Toronto fans that are saying just blow it up, trade people, fire a coach, trade this guy for this guy, trade Nylander. Trade Tavares, trade this guy, fire Keefe, fire Dubas. I get that, all that. At the same time, I don't agree with any of that, and I'll get into why. Again, I completely understand why Toronto fans are extremely frustrated. I would be too. 5 straight first-round playoff losses. Not fantastic. Especially for a team that you would hope would be, at this point, have taken that next step to being a cup contender. Obviously, now this offseason they're heading into a huge cap crunch. They just re-signed Mark Giordano, who was a pretty good acquisition at the deadline. But now there's okay, can they re-sign Jack Campbell? You have the Austin Matthews contract coming up in a couple of years. So, that's looming over this team. Same with guys like Marner, Nylander, Tavares. The core, in my opinion, is pretty secure. They just re-signed Morgan Riley, which I didn't know if they were going to be able to do that. That's huge for their defense. How much are they going to lose in terms of depth? We'll find out. So if you go through their history, 2017, they lose in 6 to the Washington Capitals, but they give the Capitals a really good fight. They give everything they have. Caps are just better. Can't argue with that. Caps are a really good team that year. 2018, they lose to Boston. Okay, that's not as enjoyable. I get it, but at the same time, 3-1 series deficit. Freddie Anderson gets them back into the series. Boston was a better team. You could argue with that. They had a chance. Just okay. Then 2019. They probably should have beaten Boston that time around, and we know now. Obviously they fired Babcock after they lost to Boston. They had a 3-2 series lead, and they kind of lay an egg in Game 7. Babcock gets fired during the 2019-20 season, the weird pandemic year. They lose to Columbus in the qualifying round. You can kind of maybe give that a write-off. That was a weird year. Then 2021, they load up and load up and load up. They go all in at the deadline, and then, in my opinion, that was the first series where I can legitimately say the Leafs choked, was the Game 7 loss to Montreal. And, they should have won that game, should have never gotten to Game 7, should have won Game 5, should have won Game 6. But I think after they lost Game 6, I think we all kind of knew. There was no way Toronto was winning Game 7. We all kind of knew that. If there was a time to panic and trade guys, fire people, if there was a time to panic, that was it. The loss of the Canadiens. Tampa, not so sure, because this is going to sound weird, but bear with me. I think I can legitimately say, having really watched this team, I think they have taken steps and gotten better. I know that's weird to say, but bear with me here. I do not think that the 18-19 Leafs, that the 19-20 Leafs, or that the 2021 Leafs could have taken Tampa to 7 games. May have stole a game or two, but it probably would have looked a lot like that 16-17 team when they played Washington in the first round. I do not think that they would have been able to take Tampa to 7. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. I do think that Sheldon Keefe is doing the best he can as a coach with the Leafs. He's been given a lot of talent. Dubas, I like the moves he's made. I do think he needs to add more into the bottom 6. He needs to supplement that a little bit more. But, if he can find a way to get back Jack Campbell, there will be goaltenders on the market this year. Maybe if Minnesota can't do it and Marc-Andre Fleury's still feeling it, maybe you lure him over for a 1-year push. It's possible. I don't know if that's really a great option. I would try to do what they can to re-sign Campbell. But just the way I look at the way that the Leafs are built, I think this team can go on a deep run. I would not be surprised if next year the Leafs finally broke through and started making that deep playoff run. I know Leafs fans probably don't believe that. I understand that. But at the same time, it's hard for me to look at the way that they played and just say, okay, now you got to blow it up. No. In my opinion, that'd be the wrong move. To panic now would be incorrect. And I listened to the Steve Dangle podcast when they had Chris Johnston on, and the way I'm seeing it, it looks like the organization's probably leaning that way. They're probably not going to make any major moves. Now, next year if they lose, you got to think about that, because Austin Matthews will be up for an extension, and are you really going to just let him play out that last year of his contract and see what happens? Got to think about guys like Marner and Nylander. I would not blow it up yet. I think you got to stay the course for at least another year. It's tough to say that, but sometimes the right move is not doing anything. And that's tough to say. There do need to be changes, yes, but sometimes it's just minute tweaks. I think a major change now, it's a major gamble if you try it. That has the risk to either really spark this team and turn out to be just what they needed, or you have the risk of backfiring, and then you pretty much destroy any chance that this core had at going on any deep playoff runs. Leafs fans, I get it. You're frustrated. I completely understand that. 5 straight first-round losses is tough. But now is not the time to panic and blow this up. I get it. Take a step back. Breathe. I think this team can still be something. Next year, though, they have to at least win a series. Maybe 2. I think to really show that this group can get it done, they should get to the conference final. We have to play Tampa again? Who knows? But the way I'm looking at it, the Eastern Conference, if the Leafs are going to take advantage, they got to take advantage now. Because the Eastern Conference looks really tough right now. You got the Rangers who are coming into their own. You have the Carolina Hurricanes. Tampa Bay doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. Florida will still be a deep and talented roster. I think you'll be able. I mean, you should be able to beat up on the older and weaker teams like Boston and Washington. You should be able to beat up on them. But if you're going to take advantage, now's the time to do it. And for Leafs fans that say, "Oh, we just wish we didn't have to play Tampa," I can legitimately say, I think if it wasn't for Vasilevsky, they win Game 7. I legitimately believe that. Vasilevsky was out of his mind in Game 7. That's the best I've seen him play in a long time. If Vasilevsky does not play like that, Toronto wins Game 7. Toronto played well. I just think Vasilevsky stood on his head. You can't help that. Sometimes the team does things that you can't help. So for Toronto, is it time to panic? No. The time to panic was last year, after the loss of the Canadiens. You can't look me in the face and tell me that the Canadiens' loss wasn't enough to blow this team up, but the Lightning was. And if you look at the way that the Lightning are playing the Panthers, wow. The Panthers might get swept. So, Leaf fans, I know it's tough. This is coming from a Colorado fan perspective, someone who not born a Leafs fan, not raised a Leafs fan. I'm not a Leafs fan. I like Toronto, though. I just think that there's no way you can blow this up. Not yet. If they lose next year, different conversation. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I would, Leaf fans, feel for you. Always next year. I know you guys might be sick of that phrase. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. I will have a video up next. I have the Boston Bruins coming up, and then I got the Dallas Stars, and then the LA Kings. Still quite a few teams to go over from that first round, and then the second round is going to be fun. But anyways, that's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later.